Hey everyone, and welcome to the Uncorked Corner podcast, where we cover the full spread of food and beverage industry topics. My name is Bianca, PR and marketing professional by day, and food and wine connoisseur by night.
And my name is Nick, an accountant with a passion for barbecue, beer, and whiskey. Today we welcome Abe Furth and Justin Soderberg. This duo has taken Orono Brewing Company from its humble beginnings to becoming one of the premier breweries in Maine.
In today's episode, Abe and Justin give us the full picture on how Orono's four co-founders went from a local pub to a pub and two tasting rooms. Stay for the full episode to learn more about Justin's unique creative background, their distribution process, and an annual car smash that happens at the brewery. Yes, really.
Buckle up for one hell of a podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Uncorked Corner podcast. Today, we're sitting down with Justin and Abe from Orono Brewing Company. Let's start by having both of you introduce yourselves and give us some info on your backgrounds.
I'm Justin Soderberg. I'm the general manager at Orono Brewing Company. I've been with the company now since February of 17, back when we were little tiny breweries, but now we're obviously much larger.
My name is Abe Furth, co-founder, and I deal with distribution and marketing, and started the brewery back in 2015, and have started with self-distribution for a couple years, and now am spending most of my time working with our distribution partners and making sure that we're making the beer that makes sense and sending it out and making sure people are able to keep up, or that we're able to keep up with the spots that are selling it.
Great. As one of the co-founders, can you tell us a little bit about the history of Orono Brewing and kind of how it came to be?
Sure. So there's 4 of us that started it, and we all have very different skill sets. So we started off in the restaurant business. Started a restaurant. We all met at University of Maine here in Orono, and started a restaurant shortly after graduating when we were 23. And at that restaurant called Woodman's, we sold a lot of beer, and we developed a real love for beer through that beer program. And we started Orono Brewing Company back in 2015, really with the thought of creating a great local choice that would really get funneled to our restaurant. But we brought Asa on board, who's our partner that runs the brewery, and his talent and his excitement for what he was doing really quickly extended it beyond Orono and into a larger market. Even though we were in a little 4-barrel brew system, we'd load the van up and bring kegs down to Portland and bring cans to the beer cellar from our tiny little canning line, where it would take us all day to do 40 cases. So basically just stuck with that and everybody worked super hard to make as much beer out of this little tiny system, and to make it last, make it count. I think the first time we went to New York City, we brought samples down from that little 4-barrel system, as far as like bringing beer down to one of the greatest cities on earth. So really started super small, and then found this great building where we are now, which is an old concrete manufacturing plant in Orono. And we purchased that and thought we'd take years to grow into it, but we're maxed out in that spot, and added a great team around us. And with the 4 founders and Justin as the general manager, who's running operations within the tasting room and within branding and design and all that. And then all the other folks that are helping us run stuff day to day. We just have a great team that works really well together, and we're having a blast right now.
Nice. So one thing I noticed you mentioned that you all met at University of Maine up there, and you guys are in Orono. Being so close to the school, do you have a lot of ties there and, with the kind of local college community?
Totally. it's one of the most important things to us. It keeps us young. I think that it's so easy to become irrelevant so quickly when you start kind of getting comfortable and being around people that are 21, 22 years old that have tons of ideas, and we always have a lot to learn from people that are younger than us, and we're in a town where we can do that. We're very lucky that when the people move to Orono and go to school, most of them get to know us and get to know our beer, and then unfortunately most of them move away because we miss them, but fortunately they bring us with them. So we have people all over the world who are Maine grads who are part of our family still.
Cool.
It's pretty crazy that, like, when I started in February of 17, in May of 17, we were in New York City for the first time. And a number of people would come up to us in a bar at one of our events and was like, I don't know who the heck you are, but I know where Orono is because I went to school there. And so, like, the name Orono just travels, and it's pretty crazy that people still do that. And then they'll be like, why weren't you there when we were in school?
Nice. And one interesting question there, Abe, that you brought up, you mentioned the distribution, making sure the beer makes sense to what you're putting out. That's not something we've talked to you about before. Can you tell us a little bit about how that process, how you decide what you're going to release in your lineup?
Absolutely. We feel very strongly that there's so much to learn from other experts within the field, and there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise by listening to people that are buying our beer and by listening to the people that are distributing our beer. And one of the things that made our distributor really excited about working with us was Tubular. And they came up and visited that little 4-barrel system, which was about, I think the whole brewery was probably about 380 square feet. And they tried Tubular and got really excited about it. And, at that point we were still working in this, with the weekly or monthly schedule where a beer would come out and it might come back in a couple months, but we had new beers all the time and we didn't have one that people could always count on getting. And then we changed that and we made sure that Tubular is available all the time. And then that we have some other beers that are available a lot of the times. And then other beers that are available 2 or 3 times a year, or maybe we know that this is just a one and done. So to answer your question, a lot of it is making sure that we don't ever tell a store that sells a bunch of beer for us that they can't get a case of Tubular because we ran out, or a bar that sells a bunch of kegs for us that, sorry, your beer list is going to be wrong this week because we can't get you a keg of Tubular. So that's a lot of it. That's about 70% of what we're brewing. And then the rest of it is making sure that we're not ever disappointing the Maine consumer.
When it comes to limited seasonal beers or anything that you have out right now, what do you have out for limited runs that you're excited about right now?
We just released the wild berry fruit pie. Fruit pie is a pastry, Berliner Weiss. Are you guys catching this right now?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, fruit pie is pastry, Berliner Weiss. Wild berry is raspberry dominant with strawberry and blueberry as well, and it's fantastic. We just recently released the Every Little Thing double IPA, which is Cryo Simcoe. And what was the other hop in that, Justin? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head. Citra.
And Cryo something else. That was.
I think I have a can in the other room.
Justin, do you know off the top of your head what the first beer that was brewed at Orono was?
I believe it was Kolsch off the top of my head, right?
What's that?
What was the first beer we brewed? Kolsch?
Yeah.
Lightning Tree.
Our first 4, sorry, you guys cut out for a minute. Our first 4 beers were Kolsch, Lightning Tree, Excursion Stout, and White Nitro Cream Ale.
White Nitro Cream Ale, yeah. Which is, we still make Kolsch, and we have White Nitro on our 4-barrel system recently, but Kolsch is pretty much out of all those is the only one we still make on a regular or semi-regular basis.
Well, Justin, you're really involved in the tasting rooms, the management side of everything. Do you see a lot of the same guests kind of coming to each one when it comes to like the brew pub and then the tasting room itself, or do you see a lot of diversity in the 3 different locations?
I mean, it depends on the day, but like we are, downtown Bangor, our small little spot in downtown Bangor has a lot of business people. So after work, 4 or 5 o'clock, they come out, get a pint, go home. So you see a lot of the same people. There's a lot of college students come to the Orono, our flagship location. And then there'll be people who'll be like, I was at Woodman's last night, because they came to Orono Brewing Company the next night. But yeah, we have a lot of loyal, followers that come around and keep us in business. Right now, it's pretty cool. When we came back after being closed for a while, the first 2 weeks is just people who are waiting to come back. They wanted to come back. They wanted to experience what our location in Orono has to bring. And it makes it feel really good coming back after being closed for a couple of months that these many people want to actually come back and visit your location. It's pretty cool.
Justin deserves a lot of credit for having people come back and feel safe and feel respected, and from being able to balance business and health. So what Justin put in place with the beer garden and also inside for when it's adverse weather conditions has been really helpful. Just having all that space and people being able to gather, but also feel safe.
Definitely. That's really great. It's important, obviously, in these times, especially to adjust and kind of make things different while also feeling so familiar. So that's awesome that you've been able to do that and kind of still welcome people into the space and make them feel that way. And I'm sure with all the beers that you've had, there's a bunch of different ones, and I see on your website there are a whole bunch still. What are your favorites that you've had over time? You've both been with Orono for, obviously, it's pretty much the start, so, and especially you as a co-founder. What would you say are some of your favorites over the time that you've had it?
I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this, Justin.
Well, I honestly think, I keep on saying it, that Gratitude is probably it's a pale ale, but it has the fruit in it. It's just really fun to drink. I think long term, I've always liked Tiger style. I mean, I wouldn't be a true, company man working for our company if I didn't like IPAs. So everything that we make is amazing, but anytime Asa comes up with a new IPA, he always makes it be, he's always innovating with what he can do with it. But when this Gratitude came out, it was just it's refreshing. It's easy to drink. It might be up there now as one of my top favorite beers that we've made. So.
And it might just be the season right now. I don't think so. I think it's really just kind of a year-round thing for me. I've definitely been gravitating, between the fruit full kettle sour, the fruit pie series, and then our classic IPAs. And I've also really enjoyed ATP. I've been training on my bicycle, and ATP is a low-cal IPA that we made for the summer for people that are out there kind of with fitness goals. And I had some lofty goals that I won't be able to test because racing got canceled this year. But it's been fun to have a 3.5%, pretty low cal IPA to drink too that we make locally. So that's been nice. But Tubular is one of those things where we make it every week. We've repped that thing out so often, they've made that beer so many times that it's just a comfort thing for me. I love the beer and I love the fact that it always tastes the same. And I like the memories of it, that's the beer that when I'm at Sugarloaf, people are drinking Tubular, when I'm hanging out, and at most of my favorite spots that we sell beer, I see a lot of Tubulars being ordered, and just a really nice part of the community for me as far as combining quality beer with quality experiences.
Tubular's become one of those things that's the band that plays this, doesn't want to play the hits. It's to me, I could answer that Tubular is one of my favorite beers that we make, but it's we make it every week. So it's it becomes that point where it's just known it's one of my favorites. So everything, you have to pick something else. You can't pick Tubular because it's it's one of the favorites.
It's fun, little stuff. There's a guy that's racing a dirt bike. He's an A racer, which means top level, and he's racing on a Tubular bike. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah, it's good to have that consistent flagship that you can always go back to.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. And we actually, Justin just did this rework on the Way Life Should Be label. And we're really excited about this. This started off as an LL Bean collab, which was a one-time thing, but we loved the beer and we loved the background on it. And then Justin just reworked the label, and we're working all of our labels a little bit to kind of get them all centered so that when you're looking at the beer in a cooler, you can see who made it, what the beer's name is, what kind of beer it is, and what the ABV is without having to move the can around. Having Justin's expertise in graphic design makes it so we can implement those kind of changes quickly. And those are the little fun tweaks we're doing now, because the beers are where we want them, and our team is exactly where we want it. So it's fun to pay attention to those little tiny things. It's kind of like that every little thing beer that we just made. That's the point of it. It's like all those little details are super fun to pay attention to. And the more that you are able to, the better the overall experience is for all of us.
Yeah, and I had a question actually for Justin, because I work in the creative space myself, and I just can't get over the designs on beer cans when I see them. I swear, like, compared to any other industry, you have to be at the top of the creativity spectrum. So I would love to hear from your perspective, working in that space and kind of having that graphic design background. How do you decide where you're going to put in the cans? Are there certain things that you have to kind of adhere by just as a brand, or are you really just all out creative with every can that you design?
Well, the nice thing is I came in when we didn't have any cans yet. Basically, we had a couple like small like brands. We cased up 40 cases, maybe even not even that much. It took us an entire day. Yeah. So when I was able to come on, we were able to say, this is what the can's going to look like. The hop's going to be in the middle, the hop's going to be in the same spot on every can. The information is all going to be there, and you work around it. But we all work as a team. I mean, when we go to design a can and talk about what can looks like, it's like we all work in the same office, which is really cool. So, Abe has a desk right here, and Heather, his business partner, and Mark, they're all in the same spot, and Asa's office is right next door. So we're able to collaborate on like, okay, this is what the theme we want to go with. This is the name we want to go with. And then it helps a lot for me to drive the design home. And a lot of times I just get so excited that I'm able to bang a can out in sometimes a couple of hours. And Abe's like, what the heck? We just talked about this morning. And like, yeah, I just got really excited, and I got something in my head and I wanted to get it down on the computer. But it's really cool because I have, 12 or now 15 years of being in graphic design field. Before I was a marketing person doing a lot of just advertising, and able to still do my managing of the tasting rooms and the Orono Brewing Company as a whole, but like able to bring that design aspect in it too, but it doesn't overwhelm and get tiring because we don't do a can every week, which is nice. So yeah, and then we get chances to do like Way Life Should Be, like he was talking about. We were able to take a can that I designed a couple of years ago and be like, hey, let's rework it and make it new, which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a team effort, really. I mean, it sounds cliche because you always want like the basketball players or the athletes that are like, oh, it's a team effort. It truly is. It's usually a thing where we all get together. The fruit pie can is, kind of a take on the Hostess fruit pie. That was kind of Abe's idea, but I was able to bring it to life. But there's other cans where I'm just like, they say, this is the name and the style. What can you do? And then I come up with something, and we usually work together as a team. So it's pretty cool.
And go ahead.
I think a big part of it is like all of us staying humble and being able to listen to ideas from the group. And that's something that Justin's great at from being a designer, and that all the brew team is great at as well. We're able to sit down and, decide together what we're looking for and give each other good constructive feedback. And Justin listens really well.
I'll tell you right now, I swear that his internet's cutting out on him because he was on the phone for 2 hours or an hour and a half today with Spectrum. I swear that's why this is not working correctly.
Oh, I don't doubt it. So one question that I had is on the logo. Can you tell me, outside obviously the hop bud on it, what's the significance of the mountains on the top of the logo?
Well, when they founded Woodman's logo has that mountains in it. So our legal name is actually Woodman's Brewing Company LLC, and we do business. That was the original name they were going to use, and they changed it to Orono Brewing Company way back in the beginning to make sure that it's more, unique. And so those hops go along with that aspect of it. That the hop has the mountains from Woodman's at the top of it, which is pretty cool.
And then it was early on, the brewery became such a focus for all of us, and so much of what the brewery brings is people together doing fun stuff, fun stuff outside, fun stuff that we love doing in Maine.
Yeah.
Sugarloaf Mountain and Someday River Mountain and Loon Mountain in New Hampshire now are all just huge supporters of what we're doing. And I feel like the adventure community really has gotten behind what we're doing, and that we're also participating in those adventures. So what started off as something to combine two brands became its own brand, which is, a love for the experiences and also a love for the beer we're making. And combining those two things has always been super important to us. And I think that they actually built the brand, the appreciation for the beer, but also an appreciation for quality experiences. And that whether that's spending time with the bartenders and the beer buyers that are part of the community and creating positive events, or bringing a beer on a bicycle trip around the state, or doing a motorcycle ride, whatever it is, there's so much fun stuff to be done here, and to embrace the awesomeness of Maine, and of, just doing what we can with the time we have. So.
Yeah, and I definitely, especially with the design of tubular and everything, I can see this, ski and snowboarding culture really latching on. The whole colorway and everything definitely fits those vibes. On sort of the athletics and training, I was really interested, and I saw that you guys came out with that ATP. What was the inspiration to come out and try to make like a low-calorie craft IPA?
The idea was basically, so many of us were focusing on our passions in March and April because our normal life was completely upended. And Asa and myself, when we were looking at starting the brewery, and it was just a concept, a lot of what we hashed out was while we were on road rides together, and I've done serious training, and I've taken years off for mountain bike racing. And in March, when everything else stopped, one of the things that helped me still feel sane was really putting together a scientific training approach and deciding to get serious again about training on my bicycle. So ATP is, that's an annual training plan. If you're riding your bike 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, or whatever you're doing, whether you're training for swimming, marathon, whatever it is, it's nice to have a beer that you can enjoy after a ride or a swim or a hike or whatever, that's 3.5% and low cal. So that was something that just came naturally from stuff that we're excited about within the brewery. We have a mountain bike racing team. We're still training, even though we're not racing. We're looking at, continuing to stay excited throughout the winter and hoping to hit this spring or whenever races come back, we're hoping to be totally ready, and, we'll have that beer come back again next spring.
When Abe mentioned 3.5% on the phone to me, because this is back when I was working at home, because of COVID and stuff like that, I was sitting at home and he called me one day. We had a 20-minute conversation about it. I was like, 3.5%. This is what we need in this world. I mean, when you work in the beer industry and it's double IPA heavy, like, I need this beer that I can drink 4 or 5 of them in a day and not feel it, and know that there's not heavy sitting. I mean, IPAs they sit in your stomach and they're heavy. And so having a 3.5% alcohol, 150 calorie IPA was like, and now that's like, I mean, literally half my fridge of beer right now is ATP because that's just, I could just drink one and know that I can drink it and not feel so crappy about drinking a bunch of beer.
Opposite of the lighter side of things, I'm looking at your Instagram and saw this incredible looking spicy chicken sandwich. Is it true that these dill pickles are actually made with your tubular IPA? Because I think I need a visit just to try them.
Yes, our kitchen is, I only have 4 guys working in the kitchen right now, which is pretty cool. Like we when we came back from, it was a weird transition because the way we're in a college town, like we talked about before, that when college ended, we lost obviously all of our college employees because they graduated or went home or whatever. We got a core group of guys back there, and Caleb, one of our sous chef basically, has been working on these pickles for a long time, and he uses tubular at times, and sometimes he uses Way Life Should Be, and it depends on the IPA that we really want to put in it. But they're slightly spicy, but they're delicious. And the chicken and the simplicity of the spicy mayo on it is just it's out of this world. Like that compared with our fries, it's so good, so good.
I think we have a trip.
Yes, I think you need to come up because it's definitely worth it.
The kitchen's been a fun part of what we're doing at the tasting room. I feel like as breweries have continued to expand throughout the country and throughout the world, you have to keep on working hard to differentiate yourself and to be able to give people a full experience where they're able to get some great, homemade food alongside great beer is huge. And what we decided when we did it, we wanted to keep it simple. So it was kind of choose your own adventure. So we're in a situation where people are going to the counter and ordering. They get a buzzer when their food's ready. They go up and pick it up. So it makes it very simple for the people that are hanging out there that just kind of are able to be in charge of whatever they want to do that night.
Yeah, that's definitely something that not every brewery offers, and most of them rely on food trucks and stuff to kind of come service temporarily. But being able to actually go and enjoy the beer, have a flight, and try some good food. I know all my favorite breweries all serve food, so that's
We're all
that's a big key. With the kitchen, is that only at one of your tap rooms, or do you have that at all of them?
Just the one.
Right now, it's only at we have one at Margin Street, which is our flagship location. Our sister restaurant, Woodman's, has a full kitchen as well, but like out of the OBC locations, Margin Street's the only one that has a kitchen yet. But it's full menu and such. Yeah.
And what else do you guys have going on? Right now, obviously, times are kind of weird, but during normal times, what do you guys put on at your tap rooms? And do you have music or anything like that comes through? Any special events?
If you, if it was a normal year, we'd have one of the fun things we do in the fall is we have a car smashing event to get ready for homecoming, going kind of old school. So we get a car donated, and we then raise money through charging for hits. And this is something that's kind of a good combination of the athletics and of camaraderie and of just embracing the fact that we live in a college town. And those are the kinds of things that happen at the Orono location that I feel like stick with people in their memories for forever when they think of their college career. We do have, we'll typically invite people in from the university for events. We'll have a university student come down and DJ, that kind of stuff. But that's all on Justin, making sure that it works for our older crowd as well as our younger crowd. I think that Justin could talk a little bit more about that than I could.
I mean, if you obviously the world's crazy right now, right? I mean, we can't do certain things. We can do certain things. Last summer we had Chris Ross in the North come up and play out in our patio area. Back before it was the beer garden we have now, brought in hundreds of people to come watch a concert outside. It's pretty cool. But during the school year, we did basically any holiday. Halloween, we had a Halloween party. Twice a month. We had different events that we bring in the college students. We started an event at 6:30 at night, 7:30 at night, 8 o'clock at night. Bring people in and DJ, some sort of theme. We partner with some local businesses like Tip Whip, which is basically Uber for college students. You know, they came in, gave free rides out for the night, so you can come in, have a good couple of drinks, hang out, party, go to the next place or whatever. But we try to do something for everybody, and there's different things. We partner with the University of Maine athletics, so when a football game's happening, we have it on the TV. We have 1 or 2 TVs in there. We're not a sports bar, but we have a couple of TVs that you can watch a game. So if you don't go to the actual football game, or if they're away, you can come in and watch the game. We don't know what the fall looks like right now, but like, you know, we're hoping to do something. It's just we try different things, and it's really cool thing about Orono is that there's all age groups that are welcome to come to Orono Brewing Company. We have family night, we have, you know, college nights, and we have Saturday afternoons where grandparents come in. So it's pretty cool. We have all ages, and we're able to, you know, accommodate all of it. So it's pretty cool.
This fall, we'll be able to just create a safe place where everybody's welcome, you know, and where obviously the event thing is going to be totally different and not happening, but it'll be a safe, enjoyable spot for all ages to hang out. We do have a beer coming out pretty soon with Phonics, who is a hip hop producer who went to UMaine and has had a huge influence on the music scene. That beer we're so excited about bringing out in late August. Typically we do a huge event with it, but we'll just have it be something where we send out a ton of that beer throughout Maine and have people celebrate what's happening with, you know, with the music scene and the beer scene together. But Phonics is awesome. It's one of those things where my wife and I were able to music that we both love, and Phonics is that producer for us. So check him out if you haven't. Spotify, just shuffle the Phonics station. Fantastic. And also check out a documentary on Netflix called Underdogs, which features him and his label and the artists he works with. So we have a beer that called Golden Era, and his favorite hop is Citra. So we did a remix on the Citra hop using 3 different forms of Citra. And one is Incognito, one is the classic like Citra pellets, and then one is Cryo Citra. So we're thinking that this is going to be a whole rework and a way to kind of combine that skill with artistry that you see in music, kind of try to bring it over to the beer side, or see how they play together. So look for that one. That's coming out late August.
Which is pretty cool, because one of the things that I will say that I love about working at Orono Brewing Company is that, I mean, I'm the designer for all of our cans, but like we are able to bring in, Phonics also does graphic design. So like Phonics actually did this can for us. I just made it fit into our template, but Phonics was the one that actually designed the label when it comes out too. So back in January, we did a can with I would call him our house painter. Marty Reynolds is the guy who painted our wall at our tasting room in Orono. It's a beautiful mural on the wall and so on. He painted another one on an outside truck that we ended up taking a photo of and putting it on a can. So I'm able to have this collaboration of not just beer collaborations like physical liquid, but actually like can collaborations, which is pretty cool. So Phonics designed this can, which will be on the shelf as well. So it's not just like one person doing this, which is pretty cool.
This is the
It's hard to see. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like spray paint, and you know, I did this one. It's like a rough kind of fun gratitude, which is all done on the iPad Pro as well. He also did that on the iPad Pro, which is pretty sweet too. So it's all digital graphics, which is pretty cool.
Nice. And so while we're here on the collabs, I'm drinking here. I got the Lionhearted with the Ales for ALS. You got the Black is Beautiful beer that obviously a lot of breweries are jumping on board with. I know you guys have them with your brew pub there at Woodman's, and I've seen other ones pop up with other breweries around. So what kind of leads you to that collab culture? And I know Maine, the brewery scene is very intertwined and everyone likes to work with each other, but how do you guys go about getting hooked up with other breweries and other organizations to do these collaborations?
It has to be an organic thing, you know, somebody whose beer you love and people that you want to hang out with, because it's fun to spend a day with them, you know. It's it can't be forced, and when it happens, it happens. So that's basically our approach to it. We like doing collabs, but we don't like doing them all the time. So it's easy to just make sure that it's 100% works for everybody. You never want to force it, and you never want to feel like it's, kind of, you want to be psyched about it. Basically, we want, when we do it, we want to be really stoked about what we're doing. So, it's about the people and about the beer, or if it's not a brewery, it's about, what makes you excited to work with that organization. So like for Black is Beautiful, we're working with Jamaica, who's a Maine alum, and who's been a great leader in Black Lives Matter, and just I reached out to her to say, like, we want to do this beer. Can we do it with you? And can you help us make sure we do the best we can with it? And that was awesome, to be able to work with her and to have some insight on where the dollars can go in the Portland area that she felt like would make the most difference, which was XL Portland, going to which works with a lot of children of African immigrants in basketball club. So something that we're super excited to be able to have it be something that has a direct impact on kids right here in Maine. And then, last winter, Sugarloaf a bunch, they totally redid their flagship bar, which is called Widowmaker. We were like, hey, we love what you're doing. You guys sell a ton of tubular. Can we do a beer to help celebrate this awesome work you've done to your flagship bar on the mountain? And we were just so appreciative of the fact that their marketing team allowed us to work with them. It was one of my favorite places on earth. And so it's just, that's the kind of thing, like, let's get really excited about it and let's do it right.
Nice. Yeah, the partnerships. And I've learned a lot about ALS. I know that this beer is the Lionhearted that we have. I believe it's Ales for ALS, right? Is the tagline. Yeah, when I was in college, we did a lot with the Frady's Foundation, so we are pretty involved in that. So it's a great cause, and the beer is great too. So it was happy to try it.
That's all related to the guy that loves the Maine beer industry, who is, going through ALS, and I hung out with him at an event in Hollowell, and that beer came from that, just hanging out with him and having him talk about his mission in life, which is to do what he can to help others that are going to deal with this disease. And he was just like, hey, if you haven't heard of this, let me tell you about it, and let me email you some information. And then a year later, we did it, and that's how it works.
And usually with collabs, it's pretty cool. Like Abe, Asa, Heather, and Mark, any of the people who own it or run Orono Brewing Company, come up with the idea. And usually, it's a good idea when everybody's like, heck yeah, let's do that. Like, this is cool. Like, let's go on it. There's never a time where someone's trying to convince someone else to do a collaboration. It's not like, hey, this brewery came up to us, let's talk about this. It's usually like, oh my God, really? Let's do this 100%. It's not, let's convince someone to try to get in on this ground level or whatever. But no, it's pretty cool whenever the collaboration comes around to do something cool with some sort of cool organization or brewery or whatever. It's pretty cool. And then it, like I said, on the design side, it helps me like talk to another brewery or another organization to figure out what we can do with it. It's pretty cool.
So Justin, we hear that you have a podcast of your own.
I do.
What's that all about?
I wanted to do it for like 2 or 3 years, 4 years, really, honestly. I registered a domain name and all that stuff, but I never got around to it. And so during COVID, like a lot of people did, was like, we have all this extra time on our hands. Let's get to it. And so I finally did it. And so I try to go weekly. I'm taking this week off. I usually record Monday nights. I guys got to come on your podcast. So I decided to take tonight off. No, I got married on Saturday. So I'm actually taking this week off from doing the podcast and next week off from doing the podcast. And I'll be back at it next week. But yeah, it's pretty, thank you very much. I'm actually going out to Sugarloaf next week and hanging out there for a week. So I'll be excited about that on our honeymoon. We were supposed to go to Arizona, but that obviously is not happening. But yeah, I just like to talk. I mean, you can probably see behind me, you guys, that I have comic book stuff. A lot of it's nerd culture, comic book stuff, because I love comic books. But I talk to beer and all kinds of stuff. So I just like to talk, and I got that from my mom. So I thought, why not record it and talk to some other people? And if someone listens to it, cool. If no one's listened to it, at least I enjoyed it. So that's what
right.
podcast should be all about, right?
I'm with you there. Now, do you have other guests in your podcast, or is it all solo? Is it new guests every week?
Yeah, I started off by doing guests every week, and then I kind of twisted it around to do guests every other week. And then my good buddy, who was actually officiant of my wedding, come on the opposite weeks to talk just random stuff. And scheduling issues have been there, but we'll figure something out for the season 2, which will start in a couple weeks. But I talked to, I don't know if you guys are Lady in the Tri-Clamp, which is a good friend of ours, Jillian. She works at Oscar Blues. So I brought her on. My buddy Ben, who actually draws for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He popped on and talked to us. I've talked to some tattoo artists. So it's really all over the board. Wherever my passion is, I talk to someone in that industry. I actually just emailed my old English teacher from high school to see if he wants to come on when we get back to doing this recording after my honeymoon, and see if he wants to talk about going back to school at Bangor High School this fall. So we'll see if he jumps on, and it'd be fun. I don't know. You guys are probably used to it too. Now it's just fun to talk to people and
Absolutely.
know people's views on things. And I try to stay away from political stuff because they're so back and forth on it, and just talk about some fun, lighthearted stuff like beer and alcohol and comics and pop culture. So it's fun.
I've got to show you my my comic book collection. It's not that huge, but it's like a box, and it's early 80s, like late 70s.
I'll give you $10 for it. Whatever they're worth in there, I'm gonna make the money on it.
Oh man, funny you mentioned that. I got a banker's box right next to me full of old comic books, so I'm right there with you.
For any of our listeners too who are interested, we will put the link to your podcast.
Yep. What's the name of the podcast?
It's honestly, I came up with it years ago. It's just another podcast, because it's just another podcast. It's on the market. It's not.
There you go.
So.
I'm sure you cut a lot of people off on that. Other people probably had that great idea too, so it's a good thing you got it early.
Well, I honestly think there is another one out there. And when I was going to launch it, back in March, again, actually launch it, I was like, maybe I should change it. But I have the URL. I already own it, justanotherpodcast.com. And I'm like, screw it. I definitely had it before anybody else had it. So I'm just going to go with it and keep running with it. If I have to change it down the road, I'll change it down the road. But I think I like it because my name's Justin, so it helps with that just part of it. But there's so many podcasts out there right now that just another podcast kind of fits it. And I'll do it for a while, and if it takes off, cool. If not, then I had fun doing it. But it's all just for me and my pleasure, honestly. So
we'll definitely give it a listen. When it comes to the beer, obviously Bianca's down in Mass. I head to New Hampshire all the time. I'm here in Maine. Where can people outside of the tap rooms find your beer?
All over Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New York, Untapped. You guys know that spot. So yeah, Untapped. And then through Untapped, we're sending it to Arizona.
Tavor.
Sorry, Tavor is what I meant. That's Heather, my business partner. So yeah, Tavor is sending it to people, via mail order, and then through that same business, they figured out a way to get it into Arizona and soon Washington State, which would be nice. But we do most of our business through distribution with the Sheehan Family Corporation, and that's really focus of what we're doing as far as distribution goes. So yeah, that's Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New York, and we'll open up Massachusetts sometime in the next 6 months.
Cool.
We'll be waiting.
We're so excited.
We've got a lot of people there's definitely people who, and I lived in Massachusetts for 10 years, are like, so when are you coming into, they're driving to New Hampshire to get it now, in Kittery. because they want it in Massachusetts. So
Yeah.
Maine transplants and that's
Right.
And Maine is so close to us too that Nick
Yes,
always
exactly.
brings me new beers, and I'm like, well, I can't buy them now. So he introduces me, and then I get hooked, and I can't buy them.
And I know growing up in Boston, there was a lot of people that I went to school with that ended up coming up to school at Orono that are around my age. So they're going to be leaving there, left there a couple of years ago, and they're going to need it. So get it down there.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely sometime late fall. So we can't wait.
I feel like a dealer every time I go to visit, obviously not now, but every time I go to visit Massachusetts, I'm like, people are sending me money via Venmo, and I'm like, filling my car up with beer. It's like driving beer across the border. Like, here you go, guys. I got your beer for you.
Whatever's necessary.
You got that right.
What are you guys seeing through your conversations with people as far as the beer scene right now? You continue to feel excited about it and feel like people are staying positive?
I'm super excited. I mean, since I've moved up to Maine, really, and before, I was always a big Night Shift fan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Night Shift Brewing, growing up down in Boston, and moving up here and kind of getting into the craft beer scene here. There's just so much to uncover. There's so many breweries, and right here in Westbrook, we got 2 or 3 down the street from me. So, just exploring, trying things out. People are still coming out with new good stuff. Whenever I see good releases pop up on Instagram, I'm always rushing out to buy it and try it and heading to tasting rooms. And whenever I go anywhere, I'm now a craft beer geek. So I always try to find the best brewery around. So when I go over to Winnipesaukee or anything, it's like Twin Barns. Anywhere I go, oh, what breweries around here? Where can I stop? So I'm always keeping an eye out. I'm definitely excited. I'm sure Bianca feels the same way.
Yeah, we have a lot, actually, surprisingly enough, we have quite a few in Ipswich and around Ipswich here in Mass. So, I mean, Mass is a lot like Maine, but the people we've talked to from, I would say, a business perspective, have all seemed like they have such a great customer base that they're still ordering, they're still drinking, they're finding it where they can. And I think that just shows you, who the community is that is supporting you. And it's so significant in the craft beer industry. I don't think you necessarily get that in any other industry. Maybe some, but when it comes to beer, it's like you guys have such a loyal following. People really care about you. They care about the owners. They care about the mission. So, we've seen a lot of very positive feedback from all the people we've talked to, and then, customers too, like people commenting on our stuff and talking to us, and just people we've talked to. So, not ourselves included, but we're definitely in that group. So.
I think that's all part of every brewery's got to remember to stay super humble and appreciate all that support, because that is what allows us to stay in business. And we're really appreciative. We're able to brew to capacity right now, which we had no idea, when this first started happening in March, what things were going to look like for us. So we so appreciate the support of the people that are drinking craft beer and drinking our beer, and it's been awesome.
Absolutely. And we're hoping to get up and visit you, especially when all this kind of quiets down. We loved having you on. It was so great meeting both of you, and you have such unique backgrounds that I think it's going to be an interesting one for all of our listeners. For those who aren't familiar with you now, can you tell us where they can find you on social media and on your website?
Absolutely. So, Justin, you run the website. OrnoBrewing.com, right?
It's OrnoBrewing.com. It's at Orono Brewing Company on Gmail or on Instagram, I believe. You can find us on Facebook. Instagram is where you should go. Abe here takes pride. That's how I'm going to put it. Takes pride in taking photos. So it's great to see that owners are involved in these.
I will tell you right now. Oh, my microphone just died. Hold
Oh,
on.
here you good. You're good. Yep.
We can hear you great. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
We can hear you. I don't know if he can hear us.
I can hear you. There you go.
There we go.
My headphones were at 12% when we started. I thought I could make it.
So close.
But Abe takes pride in taking those photos. If you look at our Instagram, it's Abe's photos mostly, and he does a good job. So Instagram is where to find us. But Facebook's good. You can look at all of our information on ornobrewing.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, loved having you on tonight. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Be sure to follow us on social at Uncorked Corner and on the blog at uncorkedcorner.com for a taste of more food and beverage content.
And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, rate, and review on whatever podcast platform you prefer. Thanks for listening.